So hey beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel once again. It's good to see you guys. Today's video we are talking about something called erotophobia. Yeah, that's a big word. It's a word that I only got to know about like a few weeks ago. I had no idea this word even existed. Erotophobia is basically fear of sex. It does exist. There are people who are scared of sex for whatever reason. Yeah, so like I said, erotophobia, I can't even get my words out. Erotophobia is a phobia or kind of excessive irritation or fear of sex, like pretty excessive, and things like this people tend to think is a joke when somebody says they are scared of sex or something like that. They don't necessarily understand why that person would be sex or something enjoyable. Do you know what I mean? But obviously people have reasons, and we're going to go through those reasons why somebody may, not feel or maybe, in fear of sex. Yeah, so the note I got here, it says that it can affect in few ways. Like, for example, the fear of act of sexual intercourse. It can, people can be scared of, having a sexual intercourse. And the word for that is genophobia. That's the fear of sexual intercourse. And also along with having fear of being touched. So somebody being touched, maybe foreplay wise. The word for that is haphiphobia. I hope I said that right. That's the word for, fear of being touched, any part of the body. It's something that does happen. It does happen. It does happen. And this is not something that is just like, okay, I'm nervous about sex, or, it's my first time, how am I going to perform, or anything like that. It causes distress. This is something that is more deeper than just being nervous about sex, or if it goes beyond being nervous about sex, then there's seriously, an issue that needs to be looked into. So the symptoms that I've got down here is the strong negative attitude towards having sex. So somebody feeling so much negativity towards being pleasured. The thought of having sex, distresses them. The thought of touching somebody or being in that foreplay mode or doing anything, kind of traumatizes them. That's one of the symptoms. And also somebody who is avoiding sex, the feeling of avoiding sex, somebody who doesn't want to be, like I said, doesn't want to be touched, doesn't want to even think about sex. The thought of sex makes them feel sick. These are seriously intense things that do happen to people. And if left untreated, this is something that needs to be treated. You cannot be feeling like that and just leave it. Like everything else, there is always a solution to something. So do not leave it untreated. If you're left untreated, it'll be hard for you to engage in even intimacy. Will be quite difficult for you. Or having a romantic relationship will be something that will be difficult for you to do, because you are kind of avoiding the issue rather than tackle it, so it's easier to deal with a situation rather than just let it go and let it pretty much eat you up. So it's good to talk about it. It's good to deal with the situation. Otherwise you may not want to be in a relationship, a romantic relationship that is. And that's a really, really sad, like being getting married and, showing intimacy or romantic whatever to your partner. It's going to be really, really difficult to engage with someone without having that intimacy with them. Causes of this erotophobia, guys, honestly. Causes of this erotophobia can be down to sexual abuse or rape, somebody who has experienced that kind of trauma at a young age or teenage years. So it doesn't really matter what age, it still traumatizes you. So when something like that happens to you, you don't feel like going near anybody. You have your trauma, it's very a traumatic experience to have to, give yourself to someone when you've been through something like that. It would make you shy away from sex until you deal with it. It's something that's going to seriously affect you. But usually those who have been affected sexually or whatever, it tends to affect them as well. On here as well, those traumatized after such events develop erotophobia, also erectile dysfunction with guys, where guys find it difficult to sustain erection. When something like that happens, obviously it's embarrassing, isn't it? It kind of puts you off, it kind of like limits you, it kind of draws you back. So it makes them not want to have a sexual relationship or encounter with somebody, in the fear that they're not going to be able to perform, in the fear that they're not going to be able to sustain erection. So that's another thing that can put someone off in engaging in a sexual encounter with somebody. And also, it's not just the guys as well, also with the females as well, the vagina clenches. So when you're having sex and all of a sudden you have this kind of panic or fear all over you, your vagina clenches when you try and have sex. So that kind of stops you. When you clench, obviously it stops you enjoying the moment, enjoying sex, penetration and everything. It prevents you from enjoying what you should enjoy. So it affects anyone really. And also, if somebody has gone through body shame, so for example, somebody has been antagonizing you, body shaming you, you're too fat, you're too thin, you don't have the right body, you're not sexy enough, those things can actually mentally affect you. Sometimes people think it's just words or it's just jokes, but they can actually affect you, and that can, affect somebody wanting to feel free to undress themselves in front of someone, or to undress to even, have sex with the husband or the wife or whatever. Everybody goes through certain things, but I think it's dealing and tackling the issue rather than just let it flow and let it hang, really. It's not going to go away. It's not going to go away unless you tackle it. Tackle it. There's always a solution to anything. There's always a solution. So this day and this night. So don't completely shut it out. There's always something, to whatever you're facing as well. Also things like culture and religion as well. There are some religions where they're very strict on having sex, or certain things that you have to go through, like arranged marriages. And I know there's some countries where people have to have sex with the girl to make sure that she's ripe enough to. The whole thing doesn't make sense to me. Like, there are people who have sex with the siblings to make sure that they haven't had sex before, and a bunch of other stuff, and these are things that can traumatize, especially if they're a teenager or a young adult. It can traumatize you, honestly, things that can traumatize you, and it shouldn't be ignored. So what are the prevention of erotophobia? You can go on medication if you want to go down that route. You can go on medication like Prozac, that's supposed to help somehow. I've not done my research on that, so I wouldn't know. And also psychotherapy and sex therapy as well. You can go into counseling, talk to somebody about it, that could help. There's always a solution, like I said. Speak to someone to see what it can do for you, or what, you know, what path to take in trying to recover from that. And also, the one thing I would say is also educate yourself as well. You need to read more about this topic, erotophobia, this topic. Educate yourself as well about it, the causes, the symptoms, the prevention, what you need to do. You know, psychotherapists that you can speak to, sex therapists that you can speak to, even your doctor you can speak to, who can refer you, can direct you on what path to take. So there is a path, there's something that you can do about it. You know, don't deprive yourself of, you know, experiencing intimacy and romance just because of something that you've been through. It does take time, but yeah, please, 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 if you're going through something like this, do not suffer in silence. Speak to somebody about it. And I hope this helps you. As usual, guys, don't forget to subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Take care.